don't make a mark. Silence, compliance, let others get smart. Never a truth in a word that they write. Don't listen or take it to heart. Stand up and be counted with your boots on the ground. March for the cause with banners be loud. Lost generations will never be found. Till the numbers rise up to your martyrs proud. Giddy up, keep waging war. Suck it up and make the haters hate you more. Expected to fall back and just do your part. A timeless defiance bites worse than its bark. Whatever the pressure, we all stand and fight. Won't listen or tear us apart. The inmates have taken over the asylum. Look sharp and focus in place to keep up with crooks in their castles. We must never be bound. Let the numbers rise up to your martyrs proud. Giddy up, keep waging war. Suck it up and make the haters hate you more. Giddy up, keep waging war. Suck it up and make the haters hate you more. See the words into your chest. Step out of the rest. You've got to confess. Your kings, your queens, don't care for the rest. See the words into your chest. Giddy up, keep waging war. Suck it up and make the haters hate you more. See the words into your chest. Step out of the rest. You've got to confess. Your kings, your queens, don't care for the rest. See the words into your chest.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to another live lesson. Hope everybody is doing really well out there. As always, we will just wait 30 seconds, let people kind of drop in. Let me just get myself sorted here. Anyone who's wondering why I'm always kind of jumping around at the start, I have to set this up on the computer. This is the other side of the room. And then I've got to get over here, sit down, plug my headphones in, check this mic's on, switch on my little pedal. So I've got like a whole bunch of jobs to do. So that's why I was almost a little bit stressed when I sit down here. I kind of relax a little bit more once we get into things. So first of all, we need to, by the look of it, sing happy birthday to Andrea. So happy birthday to you. I hope I'm not the only one doing this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andrea. Happy birthday to you. So yeah, happy birthday to Mark's wife. Hope she's well. Dusty, how you doing, my man? Thanks for dropping in. So let's let a couple of others drop in and we'll get started. I haven't got any news to tell you. Still on lockdown. So anyone dropping in for the first time, I know some people are going, who's this guy? So my name's Geoff. I'm a Birmingham-based professional drummer here in the UK. Been doing the lockdown lessons, so these live lessons for, God, it feels like months now. Every Tuesday and Thursday. We were doing Saturdays, we're down to just the Tuesday and Thursday now. I'm having to start to put it back a little bit just because I'm starting to get a lot of people either doing one-to-one Skype lessons, or we're talking about eventually doing my actual private one-to-one lessons. Gigs for me, they're a long way off, I think. So any pro musicians out there will be suffering the same as I am, thinking, are we ever going to go out live again? Well, let's hope so, but it's not looking like it's going to be for at least a good few months, maybe next year. So let's see what happens with that. So let's just check my little, I wonder what that was earlier. Okay, So for some reason my keyboard's gone mental, but oh, that's not going to do that all night, is it? Can you hear that? You guys getting that beep every time I press the keyboard? Every time I change the camera? Oh, there we go. That's better. Okay, so anyway, there's our lesson schedule. So, beginners, intermediate. I'm aiming more towards those guys on the Tuesday. Thursday is more advanced. All it means is I'm going to work at a faster speed. So tonight, I'm a little bit nervous about tonight, you know, because normally I teach in things that I'm fairly competent at. And the fill I'm going to show you tonight, I only learned fairly recently. So I was teaching someone and they wanted to look at some Snarky Puppy beats. So Larnell Lewis. And he's a nightmare to figure out because he changes things every other bar. And I figured out a couple of beats and we came across a few things. And one of the ideas, this concept I came across, was he was playing a lot of patterns that were linear, except for they weren't linear, right? They were what other people would play as linear patterns, except he was putting extra bass in there in line with things. So anyone not sure what linear means, it just means you're only going to be using one limb at a time. So I might go right hand, left hand, right foot, right hand, left hand, right foot. Will that be linear? Well, if I went right hand with my right foot, it's no longer linear. So I came up with this concept of semi-linear, and I started in my practice session, started sort of exploring it a little bit and seeing what I could kind of come up with. And we're going to look at some of the ideas from that tonight. So I'll give you the pattern that he did, which was just a short little part. And then what I'll do is I'll expand on some of the ideas and hopefully give you some stuff. The way the lessons normally work is we'll do a little warm-up, just related to the lesson, then the main content, and at the end we'll do questions and answers. Throughout the lesson, if you've got any questions, type it in. If you're watching on YouTube, you type it on Facebook, it comes up on my feed. Some of the other guys might answer your questions if they can, and if not, then I will spot it on my feed and I'll be able to answer those for you. So, all right, let's get stuck in then. Let's have a look what we've got. So warm-up, right? We're going to do a brief warm-up. This is just for the guys who are not really sure exactly where we're going with this linear idea, to get your hands used to playing this bass drum in a certain spot. So you can see on the top left-hand corner, look, we've got 6 notes. Simple one, right? This is easy as it gets for linear stuff, right? So this certainly isn't advanced. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last bass drum. The last one's a bass drum. Now I'm doing this. Let's move this pattern around the drums. So I'm thinking hickory, dickory, 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 hickory, dickory, something like that, or I'm counting to 6. If the other guys are a little bit more advanced, get your hi-hat doing something. So maybe get your hi-hat doing 8 flows, like. Think of something, right? Just keep pushing yourselves, right? So it's a simple start. We're building up and up and up, right? So we start with this. Right, now that pattern then, by now, I'm sure you guys have got that. If you haven't got a drum kit in front of you, just tap with your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. The timing of that last one is really, really important. It can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be exactly in that spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. I'll put a metronome on in a little while to do that. Right, so to the right-hand side of this then, so this is not semi-linear, this is just putting a crash in. But what you can see here is sometimes we're going to put a crash in there on the first note. So we actually end up with a pattern that's not linear anymore, but it's got a crash in. So if I play that first one, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm just going to hit the crash, this one or this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was a bad one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. all I would do then is I'd make a little exercises up. So I might do 4 lots of the simple. So that's 3, 4, then 4 of these. So let's try that. I'll give you the full music. So guys who are just dropping in, we're going to be looking at some semi-linear stuff by Larnell Lewis tonight, or inspired by him. We're starting real simple, just getting the idea, getting our feet really used to playing that last partial of a 6-note grouping. So let's try this. Now, obviously, I should do that to a metronome because it's the only way that I can tell whether I'm doing it kind of correct or incorrect. Now, this will be a good chance for me to set the metronome, but anyway, for what we're doing tonight. So, the pattern we're going to be looking at. Okay, you can't hear the metronome. 1 second, I got to press one button on my computer to fix this. Okay, so that Woody Woodpecker sound that we've recorded so nicely, that's playing all the notes. So I've got to lock in with that. So I'd use that one to practice accuracy, right? Accuracy. So I'm getting everything exactly in the spot that it's supposed to be. But in a band, you don't get that reference. So I'd also practice it with just quarter notes playing, or 8th notes in this case, doing like this. And I try and practice that as well, all right? I really like these though when there's lots of notes playing. I know some people hate this. But for me, that really means that I've got no question whether I'm playing it correct or incorrect. Okay, so where are we going with this stuff then, right? So let's start to have a look. So, semi-linear. So the idea is then that we're not going to play the standard linear beats like we're doing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going in a little bit different direction, right? So this pattern was from Snarky Puppy something, I can't remember which track it was actually, I was trying to remember earlier. So someone I teach is really into them, and he sometimes comes and says, oh, can we figure out this feel from 2 minutes 20 into this track? And so we looked at it, and the pattern that we ended up finding how that happened was this one here. So we're playing a grouping of 5 notes there. The kind of common way of playing 5 notes is to go right, left, right, left, left. So first of all, make sure you can do that. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th note is done with a bass drum. So we end up going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, left, left, kick, right, left, left, kick, right, left, left, kick. Now, commonly in this particular one, the right hands are loud and the left hands are quiet. So it's actually going to sound more like this. And the way that he was phrasing it around the drums, though, that would be the linear way of playing it, right? That would be what most people do if they're playing it. You can see, actually, the notation I've put on there comes off of this snare drum onto that tom 1. So I actually have written on the screen this. Right, so that is how the mere mortals would play it, right? But Larnell Lewis, what he did was he actually put another bass drum in, which made me coin this semi-linear. So what he's doing, he's actually putting a bass drum on the first triplet. So 1 chip left, 2 chip left, like that. So you can see what's written there. Bar A I'm looking at now. Let's make this a bit bigger so you can see. We're playing standard grouping of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus, I still haven't fixed this mouse, plus, let's just play it, right? So the first half of letter A. So you get this awesome little kick pattern going. So I'll take it down for you. Now that was it, right? It was 10, it was like. Something like that, and I just never seen that pattern before, so it took me quite a while to figure out what was going on. So then what I did was I kind of ran with it, got back on my kit, and I was like, what else could we do with this? And that's what I'm going to teach you today. Now we're going to make an easier version in a moment, so if you're watching this going like, oh man, this is hard, I'm going to show you an easier version towards the end actually. I normally go the other way around, but today we're going to start the difficult ones and come back to the easy ones. So what we've got here now is I've got what I called doubles or triples. So if you think of paradiddles, if you learn a paradiddle, you've got paradiddle, paradiddle. If we got double paradiddle, we get paradiddle, paradiddle. And a triple paradiddle, paradiddle, paradiddle. So what I've got with this one, if I go to the triple first of all, I'm setting up with this pattern before we play the Larnell Lewis kind of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm simply putting on the start some single strokes. So I could put that into a bar, Phil. But more often than not, you're going to hear it done is 32nd notes. No, you're not. You're going to see it done as 24th notes or 16th note triplets, like that. Let's make it a bit smaller. Can you see that across the top of your screen? I think you can. So that one there is a bit more like what we'd see. So I've now got my, what's the wrong one? Let's go down a little bit more. So the one I was just doing was what I called the triple, isn't it? So it's this one here. So you can see I've put that grey squiggle in the middle so you can see the halfway point. So I've got this. And then I've got the standard part that we just learned. And obviously you could add more things in, you could put drags in there, you could put accents. You could play around with that, right? I'm starting to think about other ideas now. I shouldn't do that. Right, so the variation that I came with up there, right, was that one. Now off of that one, and we're building up towards something here, right? So stick with me. I then thought, well, what about if I want to do halfway between the two? So I want to do not triple ones, I want to do double ones. And you can see what I figured out there was if I put a left hand lead at the start, which we've just learned to do anyway, but I then go, then I get a fill that's going to be 9 notes in length. Well, those are much more interesting, and those are much more like you're going to see someone like Larnell Lewis doing. So. But then I've got to figure out how to fit it into a bar. Well, one of the ways of fitting the bar is to do it exactly how I've written it. So you can see I've got 3 counts, so 3 of these. then another one, and then finally a switch around then to just a normal one. So I found this one a bit awkward but when I first started, but this one works. So if I put that with a Met, so you understand what's going on. Let's get rid of that. We don't want all of those notes anymore. We just want... I'm going to put 8 notes on. I'm going to half the speed, so that's 153. So we're looking at, I don't know, 80. And let's put the voice on as well, actually. So we've got someone counting for us. Oops.
4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and
okay,
3
triplets.
and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 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 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3.
So if I do that again a little bit slower so you can know what's going on.
2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Here we go, side.
3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and...
So that one sort of works, but I started getting... I'm playing it, I'm thinking, this doesn't really flow for me. And when I'm playing a fill, I don't want stuff that doesn't flow, right? It's just awkward and it's going to sound messy and I'm going to screw it up and I'm going in unconfident. So I started figuring out, well, how can I make this a little bit simpler for when I'm playing pop and rock stuff that doesn't want the band thrown off and I can pull off nice and easy. And so I thought, well, what if I switch it around? And this is the stuff that I want to be able to show you today. So what I did was I figured out if we put everything on the downbeats rather than the upbeats, suddenly then we're playing something that's easier to digest, let's say, right? So now we've got a new pattern. Look, we're same pattern, but it's just we're starting a different position. Right, so we're starting now with the right, left, left. So we now go right, left, left, kick, right, left. Right, left, left, kick, right, left, right, left, left, kick, right, left. Now the right on the first note has got a bass drum to make it the semi-linear pattern. There's no rule on that last note being loud, I just like popping that relaxing out. Let's try that with a bit of time then.
1 and 2.
So that's slow.
And 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 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 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
So let's take it up a little.
3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4.
Now off of that idea then, what I started thinking then was what else can I kind of come up with? What other areas can I use it? Because I didn't play that much stuff in like you know, apart from sound check or something, right? Because I kind of dig those grooves, right? But I don't play that much live. So I think, well, what if I play and say a shuffle or something like that? Would it work with that? And yeah, it does. Hopefully you get the concept then. You can sort of squeeze it into other genres. Now, as I said at the start of this lesson, this isn't something that I've completely mastered. It's just something I was teaching a lesson a couple of weeks ago, and it's just given me a bit of an idea of like, I wonder if I could go this way with it. I wonder if I could go this way with it. So this isn't me playing a finished product, but hopefully it might inspire you to just go away and try a couple of little kind of nuances where you're doing stuff that would normally be linear, but you're just throwing an extra bass drum. And there's something about this one with that constant, well, in this case the downbeat, boom, 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 or the Larnell Lewis version where it was up, that makes it kind of listen, it pops out to the ear. So again, what I started figuring out then was what else could I do with it? Well, I could do a triplet variation. So this one here is a nice one because I get the two hand-to-hand triplets, which work nicely. So we're looking at letter G on there. Let's scoot that down a bit for you to see it. Okay, so here we go. Off of that, the kind of conclusion to it all then is, what else can you do? Well, you could just make stuff up. So I'm either playing triplets, hand triplets, with a bass drum, or every now and then I'm going now, 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 screw that one up again, now, 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 now. So eventually, once you get the concept of it, it's quite an easy one because you're just doing hand-hand triplets, as most people can do. One triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet, and then just suddenly coming out of that into that. So I would get something like this. And to hide that a little bit more, right? Instead of doing triplets like that, I just leave my left hand on the snare drum and go. So we get. Make sense? So it's not the easiest thing in the world to play, right? But I find that once I've got it, it flows really nicely. Now, there's certain rudiments that I found on kit that flow. So paradiddle-diddles just flow nicely. Linear threes flow nicely, don't they? And this is one of those ones that I just think flows nicely. One that I think is worth putting a little bit of time in to kind of master it. Now, I haven't got anything else I want to talk about today. So at the end of the lesson, as I said before, what we always do is a bit of a question and answer. If anyone's got any questions about any of the stuff today, type them in now, and I'll start to round this lot up. So start with linear sixes. Moving off of that, we're starting to get the Larnell Lunas one. So this was the one that was the offbeats. And the kind of switcheroo on that was that I figured out, well, I can do that. Am I getting funny looks when I do it? Sometimes. So maybe I need to do a version that's a little bit simpler. And that was this version here. So I've got just literally tried into position. Next stage, put it anywhere on the kit you can think of. And hit whatever you can. Okay, so any questions? We got anything coming in? Come on, everyone's quiet. Right, anyway, while you guys are typing in. So, if you're getting anything out of this lesson, if you've been enjoying these lessons, head over to YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel, Geoff Fry Drummer. If you go on there, there's loads of lessons, there's loads of reviews, there's loads of all sorts of stuff to do with drumming. You might dig that. If you're more of an Instagram user, then same on Instagram. Most of the stuff on there is to do with rudiments and marching stuff, but I do put some kit stuff on there. So maybe head over to that, give me a little follow on there. And if you have got something out of today, give me a little thumbs up, give me a little share. These lessons, as I mentioned earlier, are happening Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the lockdown. We're still on lockdown here in the UK. Next Thursday, I'm doing something with I'm not able to do it next week anyway. All right, so Dusty's just asked it. Explain your triplet linear cross stick. Okay. Okay, I'll try and figure out what he's asking. One moment, give me 1 second, then Dusty. I'll try and do my best to do that. So, so if you're enjoying these lessons, beginner intermediate Tuesdays, Thursday intermediate advanced. There's a chance that I won't be able to do next Thursday because I might be away doing something, but we'll continue until we get one-on-one lessons back. Right, let's get back. So. Yes, Dusty, just can you expand on that a bit so I know what you mean? Explain your triplet linear cross stick. Do you mean, was I crossing over and doing some stuff, or was it just that I was doing some... See if you can explain on that one. Right, left kick. Oh, okay. Did I do some cross? Okay, yeah. So this kind of stuff. I think he's going to be saying yes to that, right? So with crossing over then, it's a good question. Let's have a quick look at this. Let me get a shot from above. So crossing over, so I came from a marching background where I played on something called tenors, which is basically marching drums, where you have one here, one here, one here, and one here, 4 drums. And so when you've only got 4 drums to here and nothing else, it gets a bit boring when you don't cross over. So you can go left to right, and you can go forward and backwards. But the actual act of crossing over is something that you take on quite quickly. And so on drum kit, the same kind of thing happens. What I tend to do is my right hand will go over the top of the left, and I'm playing it just here and here. So all I'm doing is I'm taking 2 surfaces, so maybe tom 3 with tom 1, and doing a right-left kick. And then put my right straight over the top of my left. Same drums, but crossed over, and then going right, left, kick. Then uncross in, and then cross in. Ones that I like to do then is I like to come out of that onto the snare. So I think probably the one I played, I'm not sure, I'll show you another couple of variations about it. I made up of 4 hits. So I go normal, crossed, normal, come onto the snare. So normal, crossed, normal, snare. It's only ever my right that goes over the top. I see a lot of drummers as well now, kind of the gospel guys using the hi-hat doing the same thing, so they might go like this. Maybe that snare would still. So if I suddenly pull this out, it sounds or looks a little bit more complex than it is. It's actually the same pattern you just learned. So we go uncrossed, crossed, uncrossed, snare. So uncrossed, crossed, uncrossed, snare. The only problem with that one is getting out of it. I would tend to put something in there to get out. And again. By doing that hi-hat, it just changed it up, didn't it? It starts to sound like some kind of crazy groove, but it's actually just the same thing. Just again. Okay, wicked. Right, so we're going to round up there. So thanks for coming and watching. Appreciate it. If you're getting something out of these lessons, go check out the YouTube channel, Geoff Fry Drummer. Please share this if you've enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, maybe leave me a little like. And come and check us out these other lessons. So next Tuesday, we'll be back at 7 p.m. And then I said, possibly next Thursday, I might have to change the time. I've got another lesson going on throughout the day, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that one, but I will let you know. Okay, thanks for checking it out. See you again. Good night.